thank you all for joining us today. I'm Ava Bently, and this is Put a Mic in It. And we have Keith Bradford on the podcast with us today, and of course, my lovely assistant, Dave Warner. We've been doing a lot of work with Keith, and I really wanted him to come on the show and talk about his backstory. I am so excited to have had the opportunity to meet Keith, and now me, Keith, and Dave are working together on a few projects, which we'll talk about. But without further ado, Keith, thank you for joining us today. So happy to have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your backstory? We want to get to know you.
Well, that's a very loaded question.
Come on, Keith. It's a half-hour show.
It's a very loaded question because you want me to start all the way back at 8 years
Yes, I
old
do.
with piano lessons or what?
I do. I want to know everything.
Well, my parents thought that I should have piano lessons at 8 years old. And an 8-year-old boy where I came from didn't take piano lessons. They played baseball and basketball and football, but the last thing they did is play a musical instrument in the town that I lived in. It was a sports town. But at 8 years old, they got me taking piano lessons from the organist at the church. She was already an elderly lady. And I got to make this really short. Like Dave said, it's only a half-hour show. And then I got to go on to Nashville and all the rest of the stuff. But we had a tree in our yard. They were called pig nuts. And if you're not familiar, if you Google pig nuts, you'll see what they look like. They're the same dimensions, the same size as a hazelnut, but they come in a husk. And they fall on the ground, and all the kids in the neighborhood would come around, and they would peel these husks off to get the pig nut on the inside.
Those are called walnuts up here, Keith. Those are called walnuts up here.
No, these are not walnuts.
I've never heard of pig nuts. All right.
They're called pig nuts, and
all
you
right.
can Google it. But anyway, when you do, your fingers look like you've dipped them in a gallon of iodine.
Oh, wow.
And I went to my piano lesson, and this poor lady had this beautiful baby grand piano that the kids practiced on. And there I was on her beautiful white ivory keys with my hands full of this stain that looked like I had dipped them in a gallon of iodine. Well, that was my last piano lesson.
Oh, good Lord.
But right before that, we had our first piano recital. And all the other students had been taking lessons for years ahead of me. And I had only been taking piano lessons for maybe 2 or 3 months, and it was time for our first piano recital that they held at the high school where we lived. And after all those lessons, I had only mastered one song, Jingle Bells. And the recital was in the middle of June.
Jeez.
So I had to go out there in my little tuxedo that they provided for us. And I had to play my Jingle Bells, and it was the first taste of show business. I got a rounding set of applause, and I got the bite. I got the fever for show business by playing Jingle Bells at my first piano recital. So you asked, how did I get started? That's how I got started, by playing Jingle Bells at a piano recital at 8 years old.
Awesome. That's awesome. I kind of got a similar start with Johnny Lee, Looking for Love, as a fill-in for a girl who got sick. And it was my very first time to get on stage, and I was in 5th grade. And I fell in love. I was just, yes, this was for me.
Well, that was my first leap into show business, I suppose you could say. Now, if you advance the clock to high school, Peter, Paul, and Mary, the Kingston Trio, those people were absolutely at the top of the charts, in the top of their game. They call it the folk music movement. My brother, one of my brothers, Richard, took up the 5-string banjo. For some reason, I was fascinated by the big bass fiddle. And we had a classmate girlfriend that was playing guitar and singing Joan Baez songs and Peter, Paul, and Mary. The three of us got together and we formed a bluegrass band. It's just the
Okay.
three of us, the five-string banjo, the acoustic guitar, and the bass fiddle. But it must have been pretty good for what it was, because Pierce B. Johnson at the time was the head of the USO shows. And he took us under his wing and put us on USO tour. And we were just teenagers. None of us was even old enough to drive a car.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
My parents would take us to the Army base or Navy base or wherever it was that he had us booked. And we would perform our bluegrass music, a combination of, it was bluegrass, country, and folk music on steroids, I suppose would be the best, because we were young and we wanted to play everything fast. We didn't want to play anything slow. So anyway, it got us through a lot of exposure playing for the military through the USO tours. And that was my teenage years.
Wow.
Then, if you want to advance the clock a little further, I formed my first country band. We were playing in all the bars. I like to tell people that we played anywhere and everywhere that they would have us. I mean, the country band, we were opening for Donna Fargo. Remember her, Happiest Girl in the Whole USA?
Yeah, yeah.
All those string of hits that she had. We were opening for her, and this gentleman came up out of the audience after the show, and he said, I really like the sound of your voice, and he said, I want you to come and visit me at my shop, and we can talk about maybe hiring you to do some demos for me. Well, you know how many times I heard stuff like that, and nothing ever came of it. I didn't even know who he was. His name was Jimmy Crane. He only wrote 7 #1 pop hits, including Hurt for Elvis Presley, Juice Newton, Timmy Euro. He wrote everything Eddie Fisher ever recorded. If I Ever Needed You, I Need You Now. Doris Day, If I Give My Heart to You, which was in Crocodile Dundee. And here's this guy inviting me to his place, which ends up being Colonial Novelty Jewelry Company on Elm Street in Providence, Rhode Island. And I didn't know what Colonial Novelty Jewelry Company was. I had no idea they provided all the jewelry for Avon.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, when you were selling Avon and you won
Yeah.
prizes and it was jewelry? That was this guy's company that made all that.
Wow.
That's what he did, quote unquote, for a living. Even though he was making $100,000 a year in royalties as a songwriter, he still had to have a living.
Well, you know.
And I tattletale on him all the time. The man's dead. He's no longer with us. But I tattletale on him all the time because in 1966, when I met him, he made like over $600,000 in royalty that year. And in 1967, he was bankrupt.
Oh, my God.
He spent it all at the track.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
He loved the
no.
ponies. And he spent it all at the track. But anyway, okay, this is how I got to Nashville. I was doing demos for him like he promised that he would hire me to do demos. And we were in the studio, and we took a lunch break, and he was out in the lobby, and he was reading the New York Times, and he said, Keith, look at this. He said, there's some kind of an outfit in Nashville that's auditioning singers. It says they're looking for young people who are singers, dancers, light men, audio men, comedians, dancers. And it was a big ad, and it was for this outfit called Opryland that I had never heard of in my life. Never even knew there was such a place. And the picture looked like a big carnival. It had rides, and that's what the poster on the ad looked like. It didn't look like some kind of a stage show or something. It looked like some big, huge carnival or amusement park, which it was an amusement park. But it was a music amusement park. Anyway, I had a Dodge Dart with 4 ball tires and no gas in the tank, and he wanted me to drive to New York City to go audition for this place called Opryland. I said, Jimmy, I just can't do it. He said, well, how about if I buy you a train ticket? I said, well, that'll work. So I got myself to the train station, and he put me on a train and sent me to Harlequin Rehearsal Studios. And this is long enough ago, folks. West Side Story, Calcutta. These were playing on Broadway at the time. And I was looking at these signs. I had never been to New York City in my life. And I had to take a cab from Grand Central Station over to this place called Harlequin Rehearsal Studios. And it was in the dead of winter. And there was a line all the way around the building like a jelly roll out on the sidewalk. And inch by inch, you finally got into this building where there was a table with 6 judges sitting there. And I had my guitar with me. And they said, okay, go ahead and show us what you're going to do. I said, well, I'm going to sing a song by Merle Haggard called Silver Wings. And I sang the first verse and chorus of it. And they said, okay, that's enough. And the one judge was pretty light in his feet, said, is that the only voice you've got? And I thought, surely to goodness, he was making fun of me because he didn't like my voice. And I said, well, sir, that's the way I sing. He said, no, can you do any other voices? I said, well, I can do a verse and a chorus of Waltz Across Texas by Ernest Tubb. And he said, proceed. So I went and sang the first verse and chorus of Waltz Across Texas, and they just fell out of their chairs. They're in New York City, for goodness sakes. They're not in Alabama or Mississippi or Arkansas. They're in New York City, and this kid is up there singing like Ernest Tubb. Well, I was such a freak. It was such a difference from what everyone else was doing on their auditions. They were just rolling on the floor, and they said, can you come back tomorrow? Or as they call it in show business, callbacks. Mm-hmm. Well, that I wasn't expecting. I thought I was going to get on the train and go back home and be denied. So everyone was staying at the Roosevelt Hotel, which was in walking distance of the Harlequin Rehearsal Studio. The next day I went back. I had already passed the singing audition. So now I've got to find out a way to pass the dancing audition. I never danced a step in my life. All I ever did is play in bands, including when I was in the Navy. I was even in the country band in the Navy. I never danced a step in my life. And the choreographer was a woman, and the first thing that we had to dance was the Charleston.
Okay.
And then they went and we had to dance the jitterbug, and we had to dance the polka, and we had to clog. And I had no idea, literally, I had no idea what I was doing.
Did you say clog? She made you clog?
We had to do clogging, yes. Yes.
That's harsh.
You know what? Those are some full dances, though, Keith. I mean, that's hard. I don't even know if I can do it.
Evidently, they wanted me badly enough, based on the strength of my voice. They wanted me bad enough. She was grabbing a hold of my legs and moving my feet to the proper steps. I mean, she was literally grabbing my legs and moving them back and forth to the steps of the Charleston so that I could get through the audition and get hired.
Wow.
Well, about an hour of that nonsense went by, and it was time to take a break. And the head knocker, the main guy that was sitting at the table, said, "You're going to have to sign a contract." Now, this audition was in the dead of winter of 1977.
So how old were you then, Keith?
I was married with 3 kids.
Wow.
I ended up being the oldest performer in the park.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
But even when I was married with 3 kids, I still looked like a teenager.
As you do now.
Yeah.
Well, at 77, I'm not going to say I look good, but at 77, I'm holding my own. I'm very healthy.
You sure are, Keith. You're rocking it.
I'm very, very healthy. I don't even take an aspirin, no
Oh, wow.
medications, none whatsoever.
You're healthier than I am.
Yeah. He's got a long run on you, Ava.
Yeah, my heart was trying to give out on me. Turned out it just made me sassy, but you know what? It's still
So
holding up.
anyway, he
so far.
says, "I've got to sign a contract." And I said, "What do I have to sign a contract for?" He says, "Well, for one thing, you're going to be having to move to Nashville." Now, bear in mind, I'm living in Rhode Island when all this is taking place. I said, "Move to Nashville? Are you crazy? I can't move to Nashville." He says, "Well, what are you going to do? Commute from Providence, Rhode Island to Nashville every day to come do your shows?" He said, "You're going to be doing 5 shows a day, 6 days a week."
Good Lord.
Oh, yeah. $175 a week is what we got paid.
Oh, my God.
Gracious.
That's what they paid us. We worked 6 days a week, 5 shows a day, 1-hour shows.
You able to feed your family off of that?
Just back then,
Yeah.
Well, it's 1977.
I don't think $175 was worth that much.
I don't know. I was 3 years old, 4, almost 4. Yeah.
So anyway, that was 77. Every year they signed me back on, 77, 78, 79, 80. The 4 years that I played in the Country Music USA show. Now, the Country Music USA show was so popular that in 76, Roy Clark decided he wanted to take the Country Music USA show with him to Russia. So I missed it by 1 season. I didn't get to go to Russia by 1 season.
Wow.
And Cynthia Rhodes was in that cast from Flashdance. There was kids in that park that were going on to major stepping stones, so to speak, in Hollywood and in Vegas, and because these talent scouts would come to the park on a daily basis. Every time you did a show, you never knew, for one moment, you never knew who was sitting in that audience watching you. In fact, that's my segue to how did I get on the Grand Ole Opry. One of my impersonations was Roy Acuff. And I had a fiddle in one hand and a yo-yo in the other hand because, he always had a yo-yo on the Grand Ole Opry. He did yo-yo tricks and balanced the fiddle on the tip of his nose when he said, his biggest hit, of course, Wabash Cannonball. But anyway, big enough hit that one of the rides was called the Wabash Cannonball. It was a roller coaster in the park. First show was at 11 a.m. I'm out there with a fiddle and a bow in one hand, a yo-yo up and down in the other, and I'm singing the chorus of Wabash Cannonball. I look out on the front row, and who's sitting out there with a Coca-Cola and a box of popcorn? Roy Acuff, watching me impersonate him.
Oh, my God. That's too much.
That's awesome.
He's sitting there watching me impersonate him. So after the show, he comes backstage and he says, "Young man, you have watched and listened very, very, very closely to me." He says, "There's been many impersonators before you that have tried to impersonate me, but nobody has ever come as close to what I sound like than what you just did, what I just watched you do." He said, "As a matter of fact, I'm impressed enough how would you like to be my guest this Saturday night on the Grand Ole Opry?
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
I said, what do you mean your guest? You mean to meet you in your dressing room? He said, no, I want you to come on my portion of the show and sing a song.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he said, be in my dressing room, which was dressing room number 1, the closest one to the stage. Be in my dressing room at 7 o'clock. I was there at 6. Trust me, I wasn't
I
going
would
to
be
miss
too.
Yeah.
this. I was there at 6 o'clock. I got on that stage, my knees knocking, my mouth felt like it was full of cotton, and I sang my first song on the Grand Ole Opry as Roy Acuff's guest.
Wow.
Wow.
It was through that Porter Wagner was standing in the wings watching me. And Porter said, I got a spot on my show in 2 weeks. Can you be ready? I said, yeah, I can be ready. He said, well, get your songs all charted out for my band to learn them and everything, and which I did. And that's how I got my first appearance on the Porter Wagner show, because he saw me performing at the Opry. So it was like once one door opened, it was like a domino effect. The doors just kept opening. And that's how I got my job with Kitty Wells.
Wow.
I was on stage at the Opryland amusement park doing my thing in the Country Music USA show, and her booking agent got a call from Johnny Wright, her husband, and said, "You're not going to believe this, but our bass player just quit, and we're leaving at midnight to go play the North Dakota State Fair." And the booking agent said, well, I've got this kid that just finished up at Opryland. They just finished up their season, and he won't be going back there till May of next year, because that's when the season opened up. And he called me at home. He said, Kitty Wells' bass player just quit, and they're leaving at midnight to go to North Dakota to play the state fair. And he said, why don't you get in your car and go over there and talk to Johnny? He might take you with him. So I got in the car and went over to Wright's Enterprises to talk to Johnny Wright, her husband, and Kitty Wells. And they said, you look about the same size as Eddie. Eddie was the one that just quit. And he said, so you'll fit his uniforms, because you had to be in uniform to play with Kitty Wells. You didn't play in what you wanted to wear. You had to wear what they wanted you to wear. So because I fit the uniform, not judged on my ability to play the bass guitar and sing harmony, but because I fit the frickin' uniform, I got the job on the spot.
Hey,
Wow.
take it. If that's what they give you, take it.
That's incredible. I mean, what an incredible
So he
opportunity.
says, take this cassette tape. And he says, have you got a little Walkman that you can listen to cassettes? I said, yes, of course I do. He said, well, take this cassette tape home with you and be at the house at midnight, because the bus was always parked right at her house. It wasn't at a parking coach garage. It was they kept it right in their own driveway.
Right.
Be at the house at midnight, and I want you to listen to this tape all the way out to North Dakota so that you'll be familiar with our show. I said, Mr. Johnny, I will do as you requested and listen to this tape, but I can tell you right now that I already know all of the songs, and I already know what key you do them in. And he was flabbergasted that I talked to him like that. And he said, you do? I said, yes. I said, I've been a fan of yours for 20 years. I know all the songs, and I know what key you do them in. And I did.
Oh, wow.
I did.
Impressive.
Because I was a Kitty Wells fan. So I already knew all her material before they even gave me the tape.
Wow.
So we went out to North Dakota, and we played the state fair. I must have done a pretty good job because I kept that job for 16 years.
That
Wow.
is so amazing.
So
Just a
Yeah.
series of things. It's incredible.
it's a story that belongs in a book.
Hmm.
And I did write a book. But the problem with the book is it's been edited like 10 times now, and it's still being edited because in order to sell books, it has to have juice.
Yeah.
And the problem is most of the people that I mentioned that's got juice with it are still alive.
Oh, well, that's an issue. Can't say those stories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such an incredible backstory. The reason I wanted you to tell us that, because since I met Keith, which I've really only known you a few months since, Ava has been rising, through the stardom process, and you've been a real instrumental piece, and of course Dave is, but Dave and I go so far back. But you've been so instrumental, and first it was you and I started working together. Now you and Dave and I work together on various projects. But what I really want people to know is, and I wanted them to hear this story, is not only have you done all of that and you've gone through all of this aspect of the music and how you got your start in it and working with, the stars throughout the years and the Grand Ole Opry, which is, of course, a dream of mine. And you wrote a nice song about that. But I think that, now I'm so impressed. And you talked about your age being 77. And Dave, I know you're not too far away.
I'm 63 for crying out loud. Don't lie to these people.
You're further away than I thought. But what's impressive is you are also using AI. And of course, everyone knows I am, the world first female AI country music artist, which is how, Keith and I came to meet. But I'm so impressed with your ability to use modern, technology and moving into this AI space and everything you're doing with the Nashville Mimics. Oh, by the way, we're going to be, soon on, network TV as soon as we get our premiere dates. I'm now starring on the Nashville Mimics, but that is Keith's creation, and it's such an honor for me to have started working with you with the Nashville Mimics, and now a star of your show. And of course, people are now hearing about the AI Opry that I'm now emceeing or hosting, working with Keith yet again, and so it's just so exciting. So I want to talk a little bit about how did you get into AI music and AI production, not just with music, but with now television, or these shows that, we're putting out on YouTube, Vimeo, and now the latest Roku Studio 25 music channel.
Woohoo!
It's
As
going
of
to be
yesterday.
network TV. So, I mean, we've come a long way in a short period of time, but these were your creations. So maybe tell us a little bit about how you discovered AI and started working with it.
Well, AI was around before AI was even mentioned in the music business, but it was in a different form. We've had auto tuners for years in the recording studio, and you'd go to see somebody in concert and they'd suck. They sounded terrible. They didn't sound anything like their records. And why? Because they were fixed. Well, they didn't call it AI, artificial intelligence, but dadgummit, when you fix something electronically and digitally to enhance somebody's vocal to make them sound like they don't really sound.
Yeah.
I had an engineer tell me that if I had $5,000, now this is years ago, but he told me if you can sing Happy Birthday and you give me $5,000, I can make you a star.
Wow.
Who is he? Where is he? How do we find him?
I'm going to get him for my wife.
And,
Who can't
speaking
sing
about
Happy Birthday?
It's a fact that Elvis never recorded Happy Birthday unless you go on YouTube, and you can find all kinds of recordings by Elvis Presley singing Happy Birthday that he never did because he never recorded Happy Birthday, ever. But yet there's many, many recordings of Elvis singing Happy Birthday on YouTube, It was all done through AI, every bit of it.
Oh, wow.
So, like I said, to answer your question, I kind of got off track there a little bit. To answer your question more precisely, how did I get started in AI? I've been in AI ever since I've been in the music business. Everybody has been in AI. MIDI, musical instrument digital interface, is a digital representation of a fiddle or a banjo or a piano, and it's all being triggered by black and white keys on a keyboard. But now you can use a digital MIDI device on a guitar. You can play a guitar and make it sound like a piano, or you can play a piano and make it sound like a guitar. Yeah, we've had this for years, but nobody ever questioned it, or they try to slam it or say you're cheating, or this is not real music, it's fake, and all the other hatred stuff that we see posted on a daily basis.
Yeah, you heard it here, folks. This has been around for a while. It's not new. So there's some juice for you, Keith.
Yeah, I was going to say, Keith, even before that, from a software standpoint, there was AI. It was just if, then, and then if that happened, then you did all this branching. And I think it was called Sam AI, and I want to say it was the late 80s, early 90s, that I was playing with that, trying that. AI is not new.
No, absolutely not. And it's not going anywhere.
No.
Oh, no.
Well, it's going somewhere. So
it is going somewhere. It's going,
it's going somewhere.
We've never been. It's the new frontier.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm on board both feet. I mean, I have actually gone back and listened to, I only had 2 Billboard chart records in my entire career. I had many recordings. I've had over 500 recordings, but only 2 of them ever actually entered the top 40 Billboard charts.
Wow. And I'd like to play one of those on the show. So if we were going to play one of those, which one would it be?
Probably Lonely People, which I can send you. But
yeah,
anyway,
we can slip that in right here. We'll
Yeah,
just,
I would
take
like
a little
to
pause, and I'll
like you to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll slip that in here at about, where are we, 30-minute mark? Somewhere around there. Yep.
Lonely people, friendless and so all alone, living in a world of their own, day after day. Lonely people, never a friend by their side, trying to hide the tears inside coming their way. There was a time we shared a love so unheard of. Now you've gone, leaving me here in a world of lonely people. I know how sad it must be, living alone like me, day after day. There was a time we shared a love so unheard of. Now you've gone, leaving me here in a world of lonely people. I know how sad it must be, living alone like me, day after day.
But anyway, I recently went back and I said, because those were recorded in the 70s when I was at Opryland.
Okay.
And I went back and I listened to those again. And I listened to my brand new stuff that I did in Suno with, AI. And my Suno records are better. They're far superior to what was in Billboard charts in the 70s. But it was up against all the other analog recordings also. We were still putting out vinyl. We weren't. The CD hadn't even caught on yet when my songs were in the charts. We were still in the cassettes. CDs hadn't even surfaced yet when my records were in the chart. But I went back just recently and I listened to both of them, and I listened to what I did in Suno with AI, and my Suno recordings are light years ahead of my analog recordings that I did back then. And I had the best. I had the A-team backing me up. I had the Grand Ole Opry staff band is who played behind me on those recordings.
Wow.
It couldn't get any better. It was the best money could buy at the time. But yet the instrumentation in Suno is better than they were.
Wow.
And it's all digitally done, as you know.
Yeah. Especially now with the advancements of the Suno upgrade to 5.5, I'd say the music is incredible when you're producing a song now. It really is.
In fact, I just did one for a fella that's a friend of mine, and he said, I love it. I love what you did with my lyrics to this song, because he doesn't know how to do Suno. Anyway, he said, but I have a big problem. My band can't play it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
His band doesn't have the ability. They don't have the chops.
So it was better than his band could ever hope to perform.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's going to be the case for people who are using that, and if they want to go out and perform the song or have it remastered. Just some of the music that Suno is creating, I think, is going to be problematic for bands. So it doesn't mean you can't get the sound. There just could be that some of the instruments aren't going to be in. Like if I look at what I did for my song called Molly Johnson, that's going to be out on my Southitude album. I have the Indian flutes that are in there. My great-great-grandmother was a half Cherokee Indian, and she is very influential in Florida in the history books, and I wanted it to be very much an Native American Indian sound. I think that would be problematic, potentially trying to recreate that in a concert. Now, it's not to say we can't find people that could do it. It's just that you're going to have to search for it. And I think as people are, creating some of their songs, and I do it, I experiment. I look for new instrument sounds. I want people to have a much more enriched experience. So I can see how that could be the case if I wanted to remaster them and perform them live. It would be difficult to get some of those instruments the way that I experiment, but I want that enriched sound. So I'm taking people on a musical journey. But yeah,
Ava, you want me to insert that song in here now, and people could hear that difference?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we could.
All right,
yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Back in 1875, they settled down. Molly and Frank on Mount Keith's fertile ground, with acres of mangroves and ocean's embrace. Through trials and tribulations, she held her place. Oh, Molly Johnson, pioneer strong in the heart of Florida, with strength and grit, a spirit so cheerful despite the pain and fight. Half Cherokee heart, a beacon of hope and a guiding light. No electricity, no running streams, but Molly had courage more than it seems. A midwife we've had.
Okay.
But that was a tribute to my great-grandmother, and my dad was sending me all this historic stuff in the history books, and it was so impressive. And I'm like, my grandma was a badass, you know. I'm like, she's going on the Sassitude album. I had no idea she was such a pioneer, and got the land grant from President Taft, and it was just it's a cool story of what she did, and she helped a lot of women birth babies, and she became so influential that she was in the history books in Florida. So,
Ava, was that she had 15 babies, or she birthed 15?
She birthed them. She was the midwife.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I saw that. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and then they
Darn,
owned
she was
the
putting them
land
out.
grant. Yeah, they owned the first land grant in Florida, signed by President Taft. And to this day, she is buried on that Mound Key, and it's a sacred Indian burial ground. But we used to own that in our family. It's part of our heritage. But now it's an Indian burial ground, from what I understand. I've never actually seen it, unfortunately. But I'm going. I'm going to go see that.
You got to go.
I wrote a song about her, so I
You got to go
see it.
now.
But back to Keith, your comment. I understand what they're saying, and I do think some bands, if they choose to go out and perform with some of the music that you're hearing, especially being created in Suno now, the enrichment of the instruments and what's being inclusive in it would make it more challenging for let's just say, I'll call it a standard, band setup.
If you go to an American Legion or a VFW on a Friday or Saturday night, one of those kind of places, some honky tonk, whatever, they spot you, they want you to get up and sing a song, whatever. Yeah. If you were still singing, because everybody knows your backstory about losing your voice and all of that, but if you wanted to get up there and sing one of your songs, you couldn't do it.
Yeah, no.
They wouldn't know how to play it.
Yeah.
No. And it did happen to me. It happened to me with Whole Lot of Sass when I was at one of my meet and greet fanfare events. I got on the stage and they'd never heard my song before. We looked it up on YouTube, and I got to give credit to the guitar player because he picked up very quickly how to play it, but it threw me off because I've never sung it with a band, and so he's overshadowing what I'm hearing with the music being played because the others are trying to keep up. I did it, and it's because I knew the song so well, but it was problematic for me as the artist trying to hear with the instruments overshadowing what I was hearing with the playback and the music that was playing just from the song. But we did it. I mean, it's on video now, but it wasn't easy for me to do that. It would have to take rehearsal from the bands to learn my songs. I don't know how I got up and did that. Still to this moment, I don't know who that woman was on stage, but she emerged a star.
Well, you can't go into one of those places where there's a band playing Folsom Prison Blues and they're barely getting through that.
Yeah.
They're barely getting through that.
I'm not even going to try it, Keith. Not even going to happen.
You know, and expect them to play songs off your Sassitude album. That's not going to happen. That's not where their expertise is, if you want to call it expertise in the first place. Some of these bands are horrible. You go into a place and they're just terrible, and you sit there and grit your teeth and you say, I can't wait till that set's over so I can leave. I don't want to leave in the middle of this set.
Well, you know what's interesting, and this is new for me, and maybe it's because the work I'm doing in Suno and enrichment of the music that you're hearing, and of course the tones of the vocals. And then you go and hear somebody sing and perform live. It's not that they're bad. What we're hearing is so proficient and so well mastered that we're building a hearing for that, right? And so I think that is creating, when you go hear something live, it's like, what is that? And I don't know how the world's going to perceive that at the end of the day when all is said and done with this, because the sound is inherently different. And it's always going to be. When somebody's performing something live, it is going to be different than what you hear digitally. But I think we're going to build such a tone for it that when we start
An
to hear
ear, Ava, an ear.
an
We're
ear
building
for
an
it,
ear
yeah.
for it.
I don't even know. We're gonna get an ear for it that it's gonna make it seem like those are not as good. But I actually want to give credit to the people who learned that skill set and have the gumption to get on that stage, perform those songs, and are doing it in such a traditional and authentic manner. It's just gonna, when you start to compare this digital music and where it's going, especially with the attributes of AI and something being performed live, there's going to be a difference, and you're going to have to learn to appreciate the both. In my mind, I feel like that's where we got to go with this.
I saw a video on YouTube. You guys probably saw it as well, but it was a robot playing a piano. Did you see that?
No, I didn't
I
see
missed
that
that.
one.
I'm gonna go
I
look
missed
for
that.
it.
We're going to go look for that one now.
It was playing a classical piece, Beethoven's Fifth or whatever. They said that it played the entire piece from beginning to end error-free, not even so much as a slip note. And I can understand why, because every note was programmed in. So how can it make a mistake when it's already, the correct notes are already programmed? But it had a robot playing a piano. And you already know that they've got robots running marathons, right?
Yep.
You saw that on the news?
That I've
There's
seen,
going to be robots doing everything. Elon Musk said it. There's going to be more robots on this planet in the next decade than there are going to be people.
I don't know. I hope we don't have 7 billion robots running around. That's scary.
I predict, and I could be dead wrong, and maybe I will be wrong. I don't know. I've been wrong before. But I predict that there will be concerts that we will go to watch out of curiosity that will be robots on stage performing instead of human beings.
I want to say they did that in Japan. I think I did see it. The darn YouTube is horrible. I think I saw it there.
Because they've already got them playing musical instruments.
Mm-hmm.
So now all they have to do is make the mouths move for the singing. They've already got them playing the instruments.
Yeah.
So now all they got to do is get the mouth to move.
So do you want that, Keith? Is that a future you want to see?
I don't have anything against it. I don't think that they're going to outsell human concerts. But I do think it'll be a novelty enough that whoever is at the footing of it, the actual creation of it, a concert tour of robot, that person's going to get rich.
Yeah.
Because
I wouldn't mind seeing it once, but I can't see myself returning.
No.
But the
it
public,
is
well, it all depends. It all depends, Dave, because they're not going to be just sitting or standing playing musical instruments. That's the beginning. Then they're going to be running them back and forth across the stage and swinging.
And they'll have a fiddle on their nose, and they'll be using a yo-yo.
And it's going to be pyrotechnics going on.
I agree.
It'll be a show.
It's going to be a show.
It'll be show business. Show business is 2 words, right? You write it down on a piece of paper. Show and then business. Which one of them 2 words is the biggest? It's a business.
Yeah.
So whoever gets in on the business of marketing those robots is going to get rich.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree. And it's coming. It's coming. In the meantime, what's interesting now with AI artists is how are we going to do performances as AI artists? And as you guys know, I'm mixed reality. And so my team has been working on, here's a coming soon, I'm going to be in concert. And we're looking at how, that's going to happen. And it's going to be a very digital type of experience and performance. And I think people are going to get a different type of experience coming to a country music concert with a mixed reality AI artist, because I can still get on stage and perform, but everything else around me is going to be that digital experience. And so we've got some exciting, stuff coming, and I can almost see us playing it out in the AI Opry space, the Nashville Mimics space. And I think it's going to be rather exciting. And we haven't, really talked much about that, but I want to talk just real briefly on that, because I know we've got to wrap up the call. This probably needs a part 2 in the future. But with, we've got the Nashville Mimics coming out. You were the creator of that, which is, I'm so, honored to be a part of now as a star on the show. And now we're taking it to mainstream TV. And we're out there now on Roku, Studio 25, music channel. And so, that's very exciting as it is. And then, of course, I've been really promoting the AI Opry, who, I'm now the host of. It's incredible what you've come up with, these, ideas. And now we're getting on mainstream TV. I'm a part of it. Dave's, a part of it now. And I laugh because you guys dress me on, the Nashville Mimics and the AI Opry, and you're doing a fantastic job. So I want to just compliment the both of you on that. But it's so incredible that you've come up with these, AI extensions as well as the music. And maybe we can play little clips of, each one of those.
Okay, I'll put something in there.
You, Dave.
Yeah.
Ghost in the mirror, reflections of who I used to be, staring back at me, someone I choose not to see. Images of a man distorted by pain, a ghost from the past, looking back in vain. Like a ghost in the mirror, staring back at me, images I choose not to see, hidden in the shadows, the demon in me, faced with the pain that has overcome me. He will hear, knock, 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 and the door will open. Knock, 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 and the door will open. Say, Jesus, I love you. Knock, 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 and the door will open. When we're happy, when we're sad, when we're thankful, when we're mad, God is with us, right by our side. Knock, 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 He will guide. Knock, 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 and the door will open. Knock, 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 and the door will open. Say, Jesus.
Because it's so impressive. And Keith, I'm so happy to have had you come on the show. And we've been working together, never had the chance to even see each other like this, even though we talk, pretty often. I'm really happy to have you, on the show. And I think we're going to do other big things together. So I talked about, Ava's musical adventures. I think that would be a good opportunity to work with the Little Mimics and, do something with that. So I think it's just everything you're doing. I'm just in awe of, what you're coming up with these great ideas in the AI world.
Well, I think that you will eventually interview some of these AI Opry performers, and I'll just bet you $1 against a donut that when you watch those interviews, you're not going to know that it's AI,
Yeah.
because we can fix it up between Dave and me and you and whoever else is involved. We can fix it up. I think, Dave, you're the one that was telling me the other day that you watched a podcast with 3 or 4 people sitting at a table, and the other 3 were quiet while the one was talking, and then another one would talk, and that person that was talking would stop talking. And you said it was almost scary. It was so real looking, and there wasn't a human
I
being
need
on
to
it.
see this. Yeah,
There was a behind the scenes film I saw the other day. I was, watching it, and I thought it was real. It was so well done. It had me fooled until probably 7 or 8 minutes in, and I was like, wait a minute. Is this all AI? Have I been watching AI? It was that good. So, yeah.
So I think you could interview these performers on the AI Opry, kind of like a backstage at the AI Opry kind of a thing with you hosting it. I think you could interview those people and not even have to do it the way we're doing it right now.
No, I would agree with you, but I also have been reaching out. I know a CEO of an AI platform that's being developed, and I asked her yesterday, is it possible we could sit on a podcast and those who are not mixed reality, they're true AI avatars, could they put their avatar body and face on and carry on an interview as if they were that avatar, much like you've seen in some of the Zoom meetings or even the
even in real movies today. I mean, they're
they
putting
put
sensors
on
on the face.
digital, you've seen the mouse or the dinosaur, whatever they put on, and it's them, talking. Why can't it be their, designated avatar? And in that case, absolutely, we could actually just get on a call just like this. They'll put their avatar on, and I'll carry on a conversation with them. We can do it, in other ways, but I really want to hear from that human. That's their curator, right? I want to, hear about their project and talk to, to the artist about, their music in a way like this, but they've got their digital presence on, and I think that's coming.
Yeah, Keith, next time around, if I look like Pierce Brosnan, you really know it's me. Just saying.
Okay. but if you, I'm not going to dwell on this because I think you're already sold anyway, but if you set the questions ahead of time, and as we refer to these avatars as talking heads anyway, if you sent the questions ahead of time, I could send you their answers back.
Right.
And you would have the interview done.
No, but we're talking real time. We want to do real time like this.
Yeah. Oh, well, but that's going to go away in the future. Yeah.
We could do both. It could be interject. If somebody lives out in California and they're working a day job, whatever, and we just can't get them the right time of day to do what we're doing currently through the internet with Riverside, I believe is what you're using, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's got to know, but except now you said it. So you give them a plug.
Don't give it away, Keith. Don't give it away.
Could be Zoom, could be StreamYard, could be anything.
Maybe they'll throw us a bone for giving them a plug.
Yeah. But I agree with you, Keith. I'm sold on it. We just got to find the bandwidth, and we've got so many things. I mean, it's not like we don't have nothing to do, right? There's so much happening. But after I come back from the award shows, which, I'm so excited to be going out to the American Country Music Awards next week and being a part of that show. I've got meet and greets coming while I'm out in Vegas next weekend. But when I get back from that and the American Music Awards, we can sit down and talk about that and plan some more future ideas.
Ava, that just gives us a break while you're gone. That's all.
Maybe. We think so, but
Maybe.
I'm not so sure. Hey, Sassitude is produced, so we know that that's ready to go. Of course, we've got to get it pushed out and ready to go into the world. But
it's actually, you don't even know this. It's actually on your website now, live in the music catalog for purchase. Although maybe you might want to do a practice purchase of something first to make sure it all works.
Will do. I'll go buy my own stuff. And then I'm going to be selling, Sassitude album sticks with me when I'm out in Las Vegas. So people can get a pre-purchase of it at my meet and greet coming very soon. So
Congratulations on all that.
thank you. Well, Keith, thank you for joining us today. I really, I'm so excited to learn about your backstory. And I'm so happy to have met you and we're able to work together. And I'm looking for a long partnership with you throughout this. And you've been instrumental. And of course, Dave, I can't not mention you, part of my team.
Ava, I'm still trying to get over the fact that you called me lovely at the beginning of the interview. We're an hour in, and I'm still stuck on that.
Yeah, you two and a handful of other people who have joined my team are really helping Ava, get out into the world and become a famous, country music artist. But it's beyond that. It's TV now, and hopefully movies and Broadway in the near future. I think Ava's got a real future ahead of her, but you guys have been instrumental in helping me achieve that level of success, and we're just on the cusp of it. I think we're really at the forefront.
Awesome.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that bigger and better things are on the horizon.
Yep. Just don't forget us when you're big time.
You're part of the team. How can I forget you? You're not going anywhere. You're here. You two are locked in, and a handful of others. Like this is it. We're on the ride. We're on the train.
All right.
The train is at the station.
Ava train. We're on the A train, girl.